Hi there, my name is Felix, and for my final presentation I chose to make a video. First and foremost, I'd like to explain to you what I did this summer. I luckily had the opportunity to shadow a member of the Irish Parliament, where I actually got to work in the government chambers in Leinster House, Dublin. Secondly, I'd like to go over some of the themes I'll cover in this presentation, which are my personal and work values, also the professionalism theme, and finally if this internship it would help me with my future goals or not. So going on my personal and work values, coming into this internship, I wanted to be more independent as a person. I also wanted to be more self-assertive and get over my shyness. Secondly, I wanted to just work on myself, a little bit. I wanted to show that I'm not a pushover. I want to earn and get what I want in life. So I realized that by taking myself out of the U.S. and putting myself in a situation I wasn't comfortable with, that I'll be able to see if I would succeed or not, and I felt I did really well. Also, I want to pursue a job in the future that's more fulfilling. Coming from a strong Catholic background, I have an urge to help others. I feel a moral obligation by that fact, and I felt that I wanted to test if running for elected office would be one of the future goals that I have in mind. I do really want to run for, go to law school and become a lawyer, because I'm really troubled by most of the immigration laws and all the problems that come with being Mexican and Mexican American. I also want to talk about professionalism in my workplace. Before entering this internship, I realized that I'd have to buy some suits before I never had to wear one or actually wore one. So it was kind of hard. So working in the government, you have to dress very nicely. You have to be very respectful to others, either be senators and talk to them by their proper titles, or ministers, and or the actual security guards, which I ran into a couple of problems while I was working there because I didn't have a proper clearance. Also, you have to be very confidential with what you hear and what you say, because you can get somebody in trouble. So that was one of the big things I realized about being professional in an actual government setting. One instance where I felt there was non-professionalism was where actual government officials let their own personal and emotional backgrounds get into affecting their judgment when it involves the greater good. And in this instance, it was of the abortion bill, where before abortion was illegal in Dublin, and women would go out of their way, either by going to England or abroad, or in instances seeking improper methods of getting an abortion where their life would be in danger more. So what they wanted to pass in the government was a bill that would allow abortion in instances where a woman's life was in danger, or if the suicide clause, which was very controversial, in which a woman's was at risk of killing herself, if she would be allowed to have an abortion by then. So what happened was what I felt was unprofessional. 4 members of parliament voted against their own party alliance and against the bill, because they felt that it was against their own moral judgment, which, being a Catholic, I do see the reasons why they would believe that. But in the other instance, I felt that they let their own personal beliefs get ahead of what was meant to be for the greater good, and I felt that was a bad judgment call professionally. And they were actually excommunicated from the party and now risk their own political careers in the process. So that was an instance I felt that it was unprofessional. So also want to talk about another instance in my internship, which I felt that my judgment calls were being tested, which was, I want to call the 5-cent stamp story. So there's an instance where my member of parliament ran out of 5-cent stamps, which is the cost of a personal letter being sent out for a government official there. So he told me to get him during my lunch break a stamp at the local post office center, which was also connected to a supermarket. So he sent me across town to go buy the stamp, and then when I finally got there, I realized that it was closed. And then when I asked one of the attendants of the actual supermarket, he said that he never heard of a 5-cent stamp. So at that moment, I realized, do I continue with this, searching for the stamp, or do I just go back empty-handed? So that moment, I realized that I had to prove myself because it was only the second week of my internship or so. So I went out of my way. I asked a couple of people on the street and some other at other stores if they knew where the local general post office was. So then when I realized that it was across town, across the actual Liffey River on the other side of North Dublin, I then again realized, do I want to risk going all the way over there and finding that there's no stamp at all? So at that moment, I decided to get across town, and then when I went to the post office, luckily they were able to print me out a 5-cent stamp. But on my way back, I realized the 5-cent stamp they gave me had a spider on it, one of those National Geographic style pictures, and I was then again nervous, wondering if this would be even worth it professionally, because it looked very childish to me, and this was an official letter being sent out by the member of parliament. So I got kind of nervous. So when he asked me if I did it, if I was able to get the stamp or not, at first I was kind of nervous, wondering, oh, will you accept this or not? But then I kind of just got over my own fears, and I handed him the stamp, and luckily he accepted it like nothing. So I realized at the end I was making more things out of my head than were necessary. So that was, I feel, one of the instances where I grew, because I went out of my comfort zone. I went out of my way as well across town to find him the stamp, because that was something he really wanted at that moment. Even though to him it probably didn't seem big, to me it was, I felt, kind of the highlight of my internship, because I persevered in finding a very hard item in that city. And finally, I just want to talk about my future goals. I feel that this internship only made me feel more self-confident in myself, because I realized that I'm not limited to the scope of ideas that I did before, or I had about myself before. I'm very resourceful. I'm very hardworking. I'm very strong, which is this internship reaffirmed it. And I believe in the future I am going to pursue a career in politics, because I'm just fascinated by the daily events. I feel it's never boring, because there's always something new that's happening or going on. And also I do want to pursue my law career, because I feel that will be a good step up to. And last but not least, when comparing my internship to a teammate of mine's, I had the ability to ask Elizabeth Vasquez about her internship at Co-Create, which was a web designing firm, or co-op, and she said that at first she was very timid and worried, just like I was, at being uncomfortable in a work setting position, but that during the process she did kind of enjoy it. She realized how her hard work paid off at the end, but also that she doesn't want to pursue this in the future, which I understand from her being an architecture background, that it would make sense why she wouldn't want to pursue something in web design. But I'm just glad to have had a very fulfilling internship experience after all abroad. So thank you. Bye.